Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I thought I'd come on here today just to talk about a particular star system, continuing on with the star system series that I started quite a while back now. The first video in that series was all to do with the Sirius system. If you haven't watched that video and you're interested in learning about Sirius, you can go back and watch that. And following on from that, the second video in the series was a video where I talked about the Pleiades star system. So again, if you're interested, or maybe you have some connections or resonance with the Pleiades yourself, then feel free to go back and watch that video. But today I wanted to talk about the Arcturus star system, which is one that I may have touched on in previous videos. But for a basic rundown, Arcturus is a large star. It's one of the brightest stars in the night sky. That's within our Milky Way galaxy, like the other star systems I've spoken about. And this is a star system where there are planets that exist within this star system, and on these planets, but also in the etheric dimensions in association with Arcturus, you will find sentient life, life forms expressing themselves there. You will find civilizations that are in many ways quite Earth-like. You will find civilizations that in some ways are less evolved than we are on Earth, at least in the sense of how much awareness of the scope and the breadth of the universe that we have an understanding of. At least some people who have gone through, significant evolution here. There are some quite primitive worlds that you would find more so caveman-like experiences there. But it's, again, the same consciousness that we're all a part of that's expressing itself, and those worlds are going through their own evolutionary process and understanding their, greater connection to life. But you'll also find there worlds that are significantly more evolved than Earth. Now, I think it's worth clarifying that with these worlds, in terms of frequency, the frequency is higher in Arcturus than you will find here on Earth. On Earth, we are currently vibrating at a third, fourth density state. And in Arcturus, you will find the lowest frequency starting out at a fifth density level and expanding up until the 10th density. So essentially, this means that the potentials that consciousness has to express itself is greater. There is a greater potential for life to express and expand and come to understand itself through its own evolutionary processes. Whereas on Earth, in the third and fourth density, we are more confined to our five sense perceptions, and then we can rise up into our psychic centers, which are more operating at a fourth density level, and our soul, our consciousness can expand and reach up until the 10th density, even here on Earth as a human being. But in Arcturus, you're going to find worlds, life expressing itself from the 5th density all the way up to the 10th. Now, once you start to look at these worlds that you would say are more evolved, more advanced, you will find within these civilizations the possibility for interdimensional travel. There are ships and vessels that are in use within the Arcturus system in these more highly evolved realms and worlds. I believe in my video where I talked about 3i Atlas, I mentioned that 3i Atlas was a interdimensional vessel that has been first assembled and given life in Arcturus in the 7th density. So that's just one example, excuse me, of the potentials and possibilities that lie there. There are Arcturians that are involved in the Galactic Federation. There are beings that form collective consciousnesses within Arcturus that are incredibly ancient, incredibly evolved, and want to assist other beings in the Milky Way galaxy to go through their own evolutionary processes, having links with the Pleiades, Sirius, Antares, Orion, Cassiopeia, Alpha Centauri, many systems these beings from Arcturus have a connection to, and one connection is the Galactic Federation, which has an active involvement in the Earth ascension process, and as a consequence of this membership, if you will, there are Arcturian starseeds that are present on Earth right now that have chosen to descend in frequency and take form as human beings. So maybe it would be worth maybe getting into a little bit now about some of the Arcturian starseed traits and what it is in particular that Arcturians and the Arcturus energy brings to Earth that's of benefit to at this time. So like I said, Arcturian energy is vibrating all the way from the 5th up to the 10th density. You'll find starseeds here on planet Earth, for the majority, have come from the 7th and 6th density states, although there are beings involved at a higher frequency which would take partial incarnation. Generally, the frequency of light that is transmitted from Arcturus through the human experience would be of a purple quality, and in the auric field you'd be able to sense or perceive a shimmering silver quality. At least that's my experience when I sense into someone who has strong connections to Arcturus. I get a very purple energy coming through, often with a silvery quality, but you will also find turquoise blue energies coming from some Arcturian starseeds that come from worlds which are more aquatic in nature. And of course there is overlap with different systems and, drawing light from different realms. So, but purple seems to be the strongest color that I pick up. As well as this, Arcturians bring through a very unique frequency which is strongly associated with healing and empathic abilities. Arcturians do find it difficult to interface with the 3rd density, not exclusively. There are some Arcturians that interface and integrate relatively well into the human experience, but there are some that will find it more difficulty with integrating their consciousness within the human form. But one of the abilities that they bring through, although maybe struggling with some of the more physical aspects, is that they are highly evolved on the emotional level. So Arcturian starseeds often will be able to sense very clearly what's going on within a person on a deep emotional level. They'll be able to most likely sense if that person has any trauma, what's just going on within their general energetic experience, and really be able to tune in and connect to them on that energetic level. Arcturians, like Pleiadians, perceive lots on the level of energy. To them, this reality or this realm, the human experience, is one that's experienced more on that energetic level. So a human being is related to more in a energetic quantum way. So the emotional dimension and the dimension of feelings and the quantum self of that person is more readily relatable and accessible to the Arcturian, which lends itself very, very favorably to healing abilities. Arcturians are master healers in their realm, in their worlds, and they have assisted many, many beings, not just from Earth, in healing and recovering after trauma. Trauma is not limited just to Earth. There is trauma that does happen in these higher realms. There have been some very horrific incidents and experiences that souls have taken in other worlds, such as Lyra and Vega. And Arcturians have played a massive role in assisting those souls to heal, and still do continue to assist souls to heal, and they bring through that same level of empathy and love and compassion here on Earth. So often you will find Arcturian starseeds, because of this sensitivity and empathy, fitting into healing roles, whether that's as an energy practitioner or a therapist or a counselor. Even you'll find Arcturians working in the fields of medicine and science, herbalism, massage therapy, reflexology, alternative therapies, healing modalities in general lend themselves very well to the qualities of Arcturians, because of their ability to connect to someone's energetic field and experience and emotions on this very, very deep level. As well as this, Arcturians tend to be oriented lots towards creativity, the arts, whether that's creative writing or painting or dancing. To me, in my experience or my sense, is that art is something that exists more in the quantum state. It's more of a fourth density experience, whether that's singing or dancing or painting, writing. These are practices or experiences that people choose to make, which work more with this this realm that is less dense than just the physical realm. So again, this makes sense. This fits with the Arcturian frequency, that they are more oriented towards these less physical realms, and choose to also create, and the creativity serves as a way to bring that frequency from these worlds into physicality. This is the case for all art and creativity. It can transcend what may seem more rigid and limited in the third density, and acts as a portal or a vehicle to transcend, to connect to something more deeply spiritual. Of course, it's a way for people to convey their feelings and emotions, and Arcturians are very, very well able to translate their experience on that feeling level, on that spiritual level, their connection to the cosmos, their connection to love and beauty, into their art forms for the benefit of the collective. So maybe it'd be worth talking about the Galactic Federation now, and where we are at with ascension and maybe the role that Arcturus is playing in this specific ascension phase. If you've watched my previous video where I spoke with my wife Sarah about the apocalypse, it's our intuitive sense, it's my intuitive sense from the downloads that I've received and the experiences that I've had over the past months, that we are in an ascension phase right now that involves Gaia's disidentification from the world of form. Essentially, the planet Earth and the soul of the world, which we're all connected to and we're all here to assist as light workers, is starting to drop and leave behind the third density and move through the fourth density into the fifth density, which is, as I mentioned at the start of this video, where experiences in Arcturus will begin, as well as Sirius and the Pleiades and many, many other star systems. It's essentially a higher frequential realm, and that's where Gaia is moving towards right now. And that's essentially what, in my understanding, the apocalypse is. It means the end of this expression of consciousness on Earth, including the human race and the entire ecosystem and everything in it. So within all that, starseeds and lightworkers here have a role to play, a role which is both here in the physical right now, as long as it exists, but also in the quantum. But also at the same time, there are beings already in these celestial realms or higher realms that are also highly involved in this transition process, because it's highly involved, it's very complex, there are many different dimensions and aspects to it, and healing is one of them. And I feel this is where Arcturians come in. The planet, as well as us, but specifically the planet, has accumulated lots of pain, essentially. There's lots of dense energy that has been accumulated over the course of the Earth's experience and the humans being here, that needs to actually be alchemized, processed. Like we go through our own process of alchemy and transforming our pain and our suffering. The planet also has to do that as well. And Arcturians, with their empathic abilities and their healing prowess, are specifically working with Gaia right now in the fourth density. In essence, she's already there. She's already dropped the physical dimension. It's just that the quantum and this relative experience we perceive don't necessarily overlap, but it's my sense that the physical has already been dropped. And Arcturians are coming in, as well as other beings, to help her to actually process and shed all the accumulated stress, the trauma, really. It's literally trauma. It's been a traumatic experience for her, as it's been a traumatic experience for us to be here. So the Arcturians are working with her. They're using their frequency. They're using methods, which maybe language escapes me here to say what they're actually doing or to describe it. It's probably the closest thing I could say or compare it with would be sort of how a shaman works or a maestro works in an ayahuasca ceremony or a plant medicine ceremony, where they use icaros and they sing and they invoke specific frequencies and energies with like a heart-centered, loving intention, and they work with the spirit world to help people to heal their trauma and purge, stuck emotions. It's essentially as I see it, something of a similar kind, but it's working with celestial energies rather than energies of Gaia and the spirit world like the shamans do. But it's that same sort of invocation, that in a way singing, expressing one's being in a loving connection and relationship with her, that provides essentially like a blanket or a container within which the transformation can happen. So they're essentially giving Gaia so much love and so much care and so much attention. You know, she's like in this celestial cosmic spa, is kind of how I would describe it or sense it. So she can, you know, feel that pain. You know, she can experience that grief, that hurt, that heartache. You know, it's difficult for her to have to leave behind what she's invested so much of her energy into willingly with so much love, you know, to maintain us and maintain this ecosystem. It's a hard thing for her to leave behind, and then there's all the pain and the trauma and essentially abuse that she's experienced by humans as a consequence of a negative parasitic influence, which I would like to get into in the next video. Potentially I'll sit down with Sarah and we'll talk about what that negative influence is and how it's caused trauma to her and to us. So the Arcturians are playing a very significant healing role and helping her right now before she transcends or elevates in frequency into the 5th density. We'll know when this happens because, well, we won't be having this experience anymore. When she drops the 4th density, the 4th and the 3rd will cease to exist, and therefore this experience we're having now will cease to exist. So we're kind of in the end phase, really. Aside from the healing, the Arcturians are also creating interdimensional gateways. They're working with stargates right now and portals so that light workers can readily exit the human experience and ascend into these frequencies and realms of their choosing. Maybe that's where they came from and they want to return back to, for example, Arcturus or the Pleiades, or maybe it's just where their journey takes them next. The Arcturians are helping to maintain and also construct these gateways for us. And starseeds are still coming from Arcturus. There are not as many as there were, you know, from like the 50s up until the year 2000, but there are still you know, starseeds coming from Arcturus and being born as humans right now to assist with like the end phase, which would be some souls are just coming for like pure enjoyment right now, because it's also like a very rare occasion, you know, the fact that this great experiment in consciousness is coming to an end. Many souls are just coming for the sheer joy of it and the fun, beings from Arcturus and other star systems, as well as some also coming because they have a role to play as humans in guiding others, in making new soul contracts here on Earth to maybe set up their evolutionary journey ahead, as well as to seed light here and illuminate what's in the collective unconscious, because as a human race, even though it's still ending, we are going through our own like individuation process as humans and reconnecting to source, and it's necessary to go through that kind of like integration of the unconscious energies and processing of trauma. And the fact that starseeds are still coming from Arcturus will help the people in the field of the human experience to also go through that. So there's many layers and dimensions to to that. But I hope it was illuminating for you to hear about the Arcturus system. It's a place, if that's the right word. It's a system with incredibly beautiful worlds and realms, and the beings are filled with so much compassion and love and kindness there. And I for one, am very, very grateful to have that connection with them, and to honor their expression and experience on Earth right now, talking about them and sharing what I can with anyone who's watching. Maybe what I've shared has resonated with you in some way. Maybe you can see yourself in some of the things that I've just shared. Maybe you have a sense that you may have a connection to Arcturus, or maybe you've even had connections with Arcturian beings yourself. If you have, or you want to share something about your own personal experience or anything that resonated with you, for sure you can just drop a comment below, and I'll be happy to answer. Or if you just have any questions in general about Arcturus or other star systems, or you wanted clarification on anything that I said in the video here, feel free to leave a comment and I'll get back to you. I also am still offering Akashic readings. If you're interested, essentially that's me channeling from the Akashic records, from your specific Akashic template, information about your soul, your soul's journey, any information that you need to hear right now, connections that you have to star systems, potentially what you've experienced in past lives, parallel lifetimes, any invitations that the universe may be offering you right now, as well as many, many other bits of information and details specific to you. You can send me an email if you're interested. I'll be happy to hear from you. Okay, thanks for watching, wherever you are in the world. Many blessings.